Hello, my name is Tony Dong. Trump calls Supreme Court ruling on his travel ban a clear victory. The Supreme Court handed President Trump a victory Monday by reviving part of his disputed ban on foreign travelers from 6 Muslim-majority nations. The justices largely rejected a series of lower court orders that had blocked Trump's policy from taking effect. The justices said the travel ban may go into effect except for foreign nationals who have a credible claim of a bona fide relationship with a person or entity in the United States, such as a spouse or close relative. The court said foreign travelers must demonstrate an existing relationship with the United States to be exempt from the ban. The student from the designated countries who have been admitted to the University of Hawaii have such a relationship with an American entity, the court said. So too would a worker who accepted an offer of employment from an American company or a lecturer invited to address an American audience. But this would not extend to other foreigners who lack this connection. This will have the effect of narrowing Trump's order, while retaining part of it. The court said it would hear the legal dispute in the fall, but acknowledged the case may be moot by then because the 90-day ban will have expired. The court noted the government is free to work on new vetting procedures for immigrants from the 6 countries. We fully expect that the relief we grant today will permit the executive to conclude its internal work and provide adequate notice to foreign governments within the 90-day life of Sec 2C, the court said, referring to the key clause in the travel ban order. In a statement, Trump called the decision a clear victory. Today's ruling allows me to use an important tool for protecting our nation's homeland, he said. The justices partly agreed with Trump and his lawyers, who argued that the Constitution and federal immigration laws give the chief executive broad power to restrict or suspend the entry of foreign individuals or groups into this country. Despite the earlier defeats, Trump had voiced confidence he would prevail once the travel ban reached the Supreme Court. His confidence was bolstered in April, when his first appointee, Justice Neil M. Gorsuch, was confirmed and sworn in. Gorsuch, along with Justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito Jr., dissented in part on Monday, saying they would have put the entire order into effect immediately. The High Court decision suggests that the justices were as troubled by the bold intervention of the judges who blocked Trump's order as they were by the new president's use of his authority. Trump's ban, first issued on January 27, called for a temporary ban on travelers from several Muslim-majority nations, including Libya, Somalia, and Yemen, where legal authority had broken down. That order was blocked by the courts, and the administration revised it to address some of the legal concerns. In defending both versions, the president's advisors argued that a 90-day pause would allow the administration to devise new and stronger vetting procedures to screen travelers. But federal district judges in Washington state, Hawaii, and Maryland, acting on lawsuits, barred both orders taking effect. They cited Trump's campaign promise to enact a Muslim ban, and said his order was suspect and probably unconstitutional, because it reflected religious bias. Trump's lawyers challenged those decisions, but lost in U.S. Fourth Circuit Court of Appeals in Virginia, and the Ninth Circuit Court in California. In appealing to the High Court, acting U.S. Solicitor General Jeffrey Wall contended that the judges had wrongly second-guessed the president's determination that travelers from these 6 nations could threaten the nation's security. He quoted a June 19 opinion by Justice Anthony M. Kennedy that said national security policy is the province of the Congress and President, adding that courts should accord deference to what the executive branch has determined is essential to national security. The 6 countries targeted by Trump's order are Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria and Yemen. The 2 cases before the court were Trump versus Hawaii and Trump versus International Refugee Assistance Project. Thank you for watching. For the follow-up, subscribe to the channel yourself here.
Has shown it is likely to succeed on the merits of the case, and that it will suffer irreparable harm with any interference. Thomas said, the government's interest in preserving national security outweighs any hardship to people denied entry into the country. 2 federal appeals courts had blocked the travel policy, which Trump announced a week after he took office in January, and revised in March after setbacks in court. The Fourth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Richmond, Virginia, said the ban was rooted in religious animus toward Muslims and pointed to Trump's campaign promise to impose a ban on Muslims entering the country, as well as tweets and remarks he has made since becoming president. The San Francisco-based Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals said the travel policy does not comply with federal immigration law, including a prohibition on nationality-based discrimination. That court also put a hold on separate aspects of the policy that would keep all refugees out of the United States for 120 days and cut by more than half, from 110,000 to 50,000, the cap on refugees in the current government spending year that ends September 30th. Trump's first executive order on travel applied to travelers from the 6 countries as well as Iraq and took effect immediately, causing chaos and panic at airports over the last weekend in January, as the Homeland Security Department scrambled to figure out who the order covered and how it was to be implemented. A federal judge blocked it 8 days later, an order that was upheld by a Ninth Circuit panel. Rather than pursue an appeal, the administration said it would revise the policy. In March, Trump issued the narrower order. Thank you for watching. For the follow-up, subscribe to the channel yourself here. Hello, my name is Tony Dong. Trump travel ban injunction lifted in part by Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court has partially lifted an injunction against President Donald Trump's travel ban. America's highest court also granted an emergency request from the White House allowing part of the refugee ban to go into effect. The justices said they would consider in October whether Mr. Trump's policy should be upheld or struck down. Mr. Trump seeks to place a 90-day ban on people from 6 mainly Muslim nations and a 120-day ban on refugees, the Supreme Court said in Monday's ruling. In practical terms, this means that the executive order may not be enforced against foreign nationals who have a credible claim of a bona fide relationship with a person or entity in the United States. All other foreign nationals are subject to the provisions of the executive order. A Trump win. Anthony Zerker, BBC News, Washington. Mark this down as a win for Donald Trump. The path to entry into the U.S. for immigrants and refugees from the affected nations, but they don't have existing ties to the U.S. either through family, schools, or employment, just became considerably harder. The decision marks a reaffirmation of the sweeping powers the president has traditionally been granted by the courts in areas of national security. There was fear in some quarters that the administration's ham-fisted implementation of its immigration policy could do lasting damage to the president's prerogatives. That appears not to be the case. The government, the justices right, has a compelling need to provide for the nation's security. That includes being able to close the border. An evaluation of the potential of foreign threats, at least for now. The Supreme Court justices will fully consider the arguments on both sides next autumn. Of course, by that time it may not matter. The administration has 3 months to conduct its executive review of immigration policy and devise new guidelines. In the meantime, the gates to America just got a bit smaller. The court said it could not uphold lower court injunctions barring enforcement of the ban against foreigners who have no connection to the United States at all. Denying entry to such a foreign national does not burden any American party by reason of that party's relationship with the foreign national, the court said. The court also said it would allow a 120-day ban on all refugees entering the U.S. to go into effect, allowing the government to bar entry to refugee claimants who do not have any bona fide relationship with an American individual or entity. Justices Clarence Thomas, Samuel Alito, and Neil Gorsuch wrote in the ruling that they would have allowed the travel ban to go into full effect, pending a review. The ruling hands a major victory to Mr. Trump, who restored a 5-4 conservative majority to the Supreme Court when his nominee, Justice Gorsuch, joined its bench in April. There are 5 Republican appointees on the court and 4 Democratic appointees. Mr. Trump's policy had been left in limbo since it was struck down by federal judges in Hawaii and Maryland, who found it to be discriminatory. Those lower courts ruled against the executive order days after the president issued a revised version with a narrower scope on the 6th of March. The original ban, released on the 27th of January, provoked mass protests at American airports. The president's revised order calls for a 90-day ban on travelers from Libya, Iran, Somalia, Sudan, Syria and Yemen. It also introduces a 120-day ban on all refugees entering the U.S. to enable the government to implement stronger vetting procedures. Mr. Trump issued the orders amid a slew of terrorist attacks in Paris, London, Brussels, Berlin, and other cities. However, critics called the policy un-American and Islamophobic. The president was unhappy about the March order, calling it a watered-down, politically correct version of the first one. January's original executive order included Iraq among nations whose travelers would be barred from the U.S. and imposed a full ban on refugees from Syria. Thank you for watching. For the follow-up, subscribe to the channel yourself here.